Start streaming. All right, hi everybody. We are going to do some iPhone repair right now. I have 3 cases that are on my desk as things that might make a good video for different reasons. And you guys are going to pick which one we're going to do today. So let me introduce these. Let me make sure this is working. I think it's working. Looks like it's working. Oh, somebody's there. All right, let's start with this little one. So candidate number 1 is a little original iPhone SE. So super cute. What's wrong with the SE? Let's find out. Which one of these is the SE? No, these are ones that somebody on my team picked out. SE is Rush. So there's that. This is from William from California, who said yes to permission to video record for YouTube. He says that while in hospital, the cleaning crew dropped my phone several times. That's terrible, resulting in a loss of touch key press. Although this is a circuit chip fix-it kind of job, I really want to preserve the data unless absolutely necessary for successful repair. So he really wants this to work, and I'm going to guess that it does turn on but has no touch, and I'm going to guess that somebody has already ruled out that this is a bad screen. All right, so we'll have to let that charge up to see if that's the case. All right, so possibility number 1. Number 1 is Mr. Bill's iPhone SE with no touch after the hospital cleaning crew dropped the phone. All right, number 2. Number 2 is this one right here. This is Mr. Rashid's 11 Pro Max. Which one is that? So we're going to pick one. You're going to pick one. All right, chat. Candidate number 2 is this one, which is I plugged my 11 Pro into a cheap charging cable in a hotel in Dubai. It was charging at first, but then the phone was damaged. Upon return to Canada, I gave the phone to a local tech who attempted to replace the charging port, but no luck. The phone was purchased brand new and never worked on except for now. So this is a iPhone 11 Pro that wants repair, so that one's not data recovery. How to make the 11 Pro Max charge again after cheap charging cable plugged in to a hotel in Dubai. So hotel in Dubai, charger damage, 11 Pro Max. And then this looks like it's also an 11 Pro Max. This one has Mark's writing on it, so This one is Chris's 11 Pro Max from Fairbanks, Alaska. These are from all over California, Alaska, and Canada. This one. Candidate number 3. Number 3 is water damage to my cell phone, and I want to save my data. That's it. Water damage, and then there is Mark's handwritten note, hole in board. So this one has a hole in the board, according to Mark. Hole in a board, 11 Pro Max needs data recovered after water damage. That's number 3. Number 2 is 11 Pro Max, charger damage, hotel in Dubai. And number 1 is no touch, original iPhone SE Rush for Mr. William, who had the hospital cleaning staff dropped his phone a bunch of times. 1, 2, 3. All right, chat, which one is it going to be? Today, it is your pick. Your pick will decide which phone we're going to work on. So let's see. We've got hello from Ukraine, snazzy looking 6S, 5S, it's an SE, close enough. Hi from Ghana. Choose the 5S, even though it's old, still one of the most gorgeous designs. 11 Pro Max, hole in the board it is. SE, number 3, SE, number 1, number 2, second, 3, Honolulu. Hello. So, oh my gosh, 808 Wireless. I love that name. Hotel staff 1. Oh gosh. And now I'm going to have to get out a piece of paper and do some math because I thought that it would be like a clear answer. I thought probably hole in the board would be the winner, but maybe not. All right. Let me get a Post-it note. Let's see. We're going to have to add these up. All right. We're going to vote. So we're going to take a vote. So if you're just joining us, we are voting now. You guys are voting. You guys are going to pick which one of these phones are we going to work on. The original SE, no touch after the hospital staff dropped it. Number 2, this one's number 2. This is doesn't charge after a cheap charger hotel in Dubai. And then number 3, this one here is number 3. This is hole in the board after water damage needs data. 1, 2, or 3. All right, I'm going to add it up. So let's head back to the chat and let's see. So we've got, I'm going to do a vote. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see. Andrew Cruz, I'm guessing, voted for number 1. Ayub voted for number 2. Luke is voting for the SE, which is the first one. Let's see. Morocco live session. All right, 11 Pro Max, hole in the board. That's number 3 from Daniel Rock. Beethoven SE. That's 3 for the SE. Daniel Rock already voted. Number 3. Luke Davis already voted. Number 1. Ayub already voted. Number 2. All right. Bilal, number 2. Gosh, you guys, it's really getting close. Don RG1, number 2. Gosh. Christopher Nims, number 3. Let's see. Hotel staff, number 1. Pick SE short video. I like your style. I like the way you think, Mr. Czech Republic. First. All right, we got to catch up here. Number 3. I think number 3. Number 2. Gosh, this is way harder. It's picking hole in the board, Canada. Number 3, where did it go? Just do a poll on the chat. That is a good idea. My choice is locked in. Number 2, Bilal. That guy didn't vote yet. Number 3, let's enjoy number 2. God, what? Well, you guys are making it all even up. Another one for number 1. Number 2, Bilal. You already picked number 2. I already voted you. Now I got to remember who voted already. Looks like it's going to be the SE. All right. All right. Let's go for it. SE, number 1. Second place, hole in the board. Third place, charging. I like the idea of doing a poll in the chat, and that's definitely what I should have done. All right. Let's see if number 1, and we can do those, I don't know, some other time. I got time. All right. This is SE. Complaint of no touch. Wake it up. That's a cool lock screen. Look at that. It looks like an oscilloscope, but it could be a hospital thing. All right, no touch. Home button works. Definitely no touch. All right. I don't know for sure. I didn't look at these, that this isn't a bad screen. So unfortunately, we are going to have to take it from the top on that one and just make sure that there is actually something to fix. You never finish. There were more 3s further down. Well, it's as far down as I got. I'm at the bottom. All right. Yeah, we're going to just go with this. If I can figure out how to do a poll, then I'll do that for next time. All right, let's see. We burned up so much time just trying to figure out which one. We'll see. So I have, what time is it? It's 4 o'clock. I need to go pick up a bunch of kids and take them to see my oldest son is playing lead guitar tonight at HFL Unplugged if you are local. He's playing Led Zeppelin's Fool in the Rain. They've been practicing it for a long time. So I can't miss that. All right, let's see what's going on in here. This looks like a normal looking SE. Let's make sure that you guys can see that. All right, normal looking SE, and we're gonna just slap a screen on here. The SE original plus the 5S have the same screen. Hey Brad, yeah. Can you grab a 5S or SE screen?
5S what?
We need a 5S screen. Just get a new one so that like I can save time. Hopefully did the SE get the long screw damage that the 5S got, or did they reroute those traces? I don't remember. I always thought this was cool. There's one screw right here that is not magnetic, and I always thought, why is that? Going all the way back, this guy right here in the corner, to the iPhone 5, and it is near the compass IC. So there's something about it not being magnetic. Ooh, that screen, I don't know, that screen seemed very easy to come out of its...
Those are as new as we got.
Do you have one?
I don't know where the new ones are stashed at. 'Cause
Okay. Oh, they're not, we don't have new ones over there anymore?
no,
They've been
spots.
put into the deep,
Yeah,
into the vault? Okay.
Their spot has been rented by the
I feel like this screen came out very easily, and I wonder, I just kind of assume that this has already been to a shop. I don't know, I'm gonna just stick this guy's screen back in. I've never heard of a screen coming disconnected, but I don't know, it didn't seem like it was, you know, can you really do that? I've long argued that it's impossible to just drop a phone and have one of these connectors disconnect that lives underneath a screwed on plate. But we'll see. All right, it's not quite the test, but just want to make sure that this isn't super easy, in which case we could do another one. All right. I have ripped a 5S fingerprint cable before. It isn't a good internal death. All right, so we're gonna check this out. All right, let's let this old dog boot up, and we still have to check kind of a different screen. Doesn't rule it out, but I just want to make sure that plugging in the screen doesn't solve. Which this is a long travel that this one had. All right, here we go. Okay, no touch. Okay, so it wasn't that this screen was not plugged in. Yeah, so there it is now, plugged in. Let's try, just to be sure, just to be thorough, a different screen. Let me look at the connector under the microscope. Sometimes if you've got an old phone and it's been through a bunch of screen replacements, these guys can get a little bit of plastic wear. Let's just check it out. All right, so under the microscope, what do we have? Let's just take a look at that connector. Perfectly, completely, utterly normal. One little booger on it. No plastic marks. Okay, satisfied. Now let's connect it let's go connect it right under the microscope. Normal looking screen. Plug that right in. And let's just make sure that we don't have an easy parts problem. Part of rule number 1, you don't have a board problem until you prove that you don't have a parts problem. And it's gone back to having a battery that's very, very depleted. All right, let's see. I had a 4 that was misbehaving every time I put it in a specific bracket. Replace the LCD and all is well. Interesting. While we're here, still on my desk from the other day, did you guys guess? I put in there in the community chat on YouTube, what is this little piece? And see what you guys think about that. Here's this little piece. What is this? a piece of. Did you see that? I'll show you. This is a piece of, somebody got it on the community chat. Dun, da, da, da. June the dog ate Bailey's AirPod. That's it. Inside there, a little circuit board, super cute. And I was using it to do a chat with somebody from BBC Science Show, where they're gonna do some interesting stuff with super tiny things. And I'm gonna go over there in a month and help them with their super tiny microsoldering type things. Okay, new screen. Do we have touch? Zoom. No. Oh, yes, solved. Woohoo! Yay. That's a low rent touch. All right, Brad, you're gonna have to come up with a screen.
What are you working on?
SE original. So we need a new black, ideally. Yeah, that's gonna be, that's weird. Yay, solved. There we go. Solved with a easy peasy screen replacement. Very boring. So let me see if I can figure out how to do a poll. Let's see. I'm going to hit plus. Start a poll. Yes. Poll. All right. Here we go. Which phone should we do next? Add option. It's just saying yes or no. Yes, no. We're going to do 11 Pro Max hole in the board. So let's do wet 11 Pro Max hole in the board. Let's do won't charge after Dubai hotel bad charger. Won't charge after night. Oh, all right, won't charge after Dubai hotel. Okay, that's the only choice that we get. All right, let me see if I can I delete these? All right, I'm gonna delete this and say don't pick this one. Oh, wait, I can do that. I can edit. Copy, paste, delete, copy, paste, delete. Great. Ask your community. All right, this stuff is fun. Let's see. So, all right, we're gonna turf this one over to Brad as touch seems to work. Although I would like to kind of see that we can actually enter his passcode, because maybe that's a problem. All right, so 159, delete. Yeah. What is his passcode? Let's just make sure. Where's his paperwork? All right, Mr. Bill. All right. Nope, all of them. 432. Okay, path to data, and seems okay. Here you go, Brad.
Sweet.
One in the Brad pile. Excellent. Look at that nice clean desk. Okay, let's see what happened. What? It looks like it's 50-50. Or how do I see this poll? Okay, 60% hole in the board, 40% won't charge after Dubai hotel. Excellent. I like it. I think I'm going to do this again. I like that a lot. All right, so we're going to go with the slight is very split, but at this moment in time, between these two phones, doesn't charge, and hole in the board, doesn't charge, hole in the board. That is so split. Hole in the board. What? No, it's 50-50. Come on. That's crazy. All right, that's like, you guys are trolling it just to, you're changing your votes just to make it have no answer. All right, I'm gonna go with the one here in my hand, Mr. Chris's. So let's see, which one is that? Chris is the hole in the board. All right. No, too bad. Hole in the board is what chat had picked in the moment that the pickin' was pickin'. All right, let's open this up and see what is actually the deal. Maybe it's also going to be quick because hole in the board either does nothing or is really bad. Okay, so somebody's opened this up and taken the screen off before, which wasn't me, and I don't think it was anybody here. It could have been Mark, though, because he did look at that. We got some pentalobes down here at the bottom that I have learned the hard way not to keep screws. It's tempting to be like on the little magnetic speaker. You know, like, oh, just put the screws right there. But if you forget that and you shove this down, you're going to wish you didn't. So let's go ahead. Brad, have you ever done that?
No, I have not.
Oh, I have not. Oh, okay. This is not the way we would do it. So this is another shot. You've pictured it, like in your mind, just imagined, wouldn't that be terrible? And then you're like, I'm not doing it. Gotcha. All right. So it does look like this board is wet, and I haven't done anything to it. All right. So let's see. The charging one could be simple again. It could be. I think that one, though, didn't it say that he already went to a shop that tried like charge port and battery? Pretty sure that was in the note. Let's see. Hole in the board sounds long. Nonsense, because I need to get to the HFL Unplugged, Fool in the Rain, coming up here, and I have to go home and pick up kids. All right, while I'm taking this board out, I made a bet today because I finally, after all these years, I'm finally gonna have to fix my Tesla's deer damage. You guys might remember that there's a video from back when I had my Tesla and was driving one night, and in its ultimate infinite wisdom, my Model 3 decided, hey, see that deer up there? Well, I'm on autopilot, and I think that we can take him. I think we can just plow right through that deer. So that's what the Tesla did. It just said, here we go, and it smashed into the deer. And the damage was relatively mild. It was just the right front bumper, right front fender a little bit, and the headlight was cracked, but it still worked. So I did nothing, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I was like, this is mild, and I don't even want to try to fix it. I did do what you're supposed to do, and I went on the Tesla app and I said, okay, well, how do you go about fixing this? And the Tesla app said, you need collision. Okay, closest place to you, we can set you up with an appointment next week. Closest place to you, Jessa, is 3 hours away in another country. Drive yourself to Toronto, Canada. And I was like, are you out of your mind? The Tesla expected me to go to another country. And I have talked to some people since then, and it sounds like if you want to actually correctly repair this relatively mild damage, it's going to take 6 weeks. I'm not going to Canada for 6 weeks. That's crazy. I don't even know if you can you rent a car in Canada and drive it to the United States? Is that even a thing? I don't know, and I don't want to find out. So as a result, I did absolutely nothing, and now the chickens have come home to roost because I can't pass New York State inspection with that headlight out, because the headlight has now stopped working. So I gotta figure out what's the fastest, easiest way to fix this headlight. And I decided the answer to that was buy one on eBay and have the moms of iPad Rehab figure out how hard can it be. And Louis Rossman made a bet with me that me and my team would not be able to successfully install a headlight on my Tesla. That worked, and he gave me a generous 3 months to do it. So let me see. They give you a loaner. They do not give me a loaner. Okay, so let's have you guys look with me under the microscope. So let's all look together. This is the hole in the board 11 Pro Max. Looks fine. Nonsense. I don't see any hole in the board. Let's take a look. Everything looks reasonable. 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 Hey, not reasonable. We'll come back to that. Okay, well, I do see a pretty clear, obvious problem, and now I can see exactly why Mark wrote hole in board. That's pretty bad. Let's zoom in and see how bad is it. Yee. So there's like ripped metal under there, and that's not good. And then here where this has like been on fire, you can tell. So that's rough. Jeez. What did that note say? So I'm curious if chat has any tips. Do you think it's possible? Am I going to be able to just order a headlight on eBay and install it on my Tesla? I don't see why that's a big deal. I'm going to be pissed if you can't. I'll tell you that. All right, this guy just says, water damage to cell phone, and I want to save my data in the repair process, and that is it. No other information from Alaska. Okay. Well, what do you think we should do here, chat? I think we probably do want to make sure that this turns on. So we'll put it on DC power and check to make sure that it turns on. All right, I'm gonna hit end poll. All right, let's see. The P2 Pro, they give you a loaner. World we live in, factories only make enough to build, and there's a wait on replacement? No. You ever been given an original iPhone? There is an original iPhone right there. I'm looking at it, that I had to get a second one because it actually had motherboard damage. That's another thing. Connect the screen with the battery. Last time you told us found good quality, cheap thermal camera. It is available for sale on the iPad Rehab supply store. So I'm editing a video that compares side by side this cute little guy that you can find right here. Love this guy. This is going to be the subject of the next video that I edit, so when I get around to that. But it's for sale right now on the iPad Rehab supply store. So go to iPadRehab.com and click supply, and then type in camera, and you'll be able to find it in all of its different versions. And that is the current recommended thermal camera. Yep. Let's see. If you ask that deer, all right, remove the connector. I would remove the connector. Yes. Hold the connector and have a look and see how severe the damage is. All right. I think. Is there a reason to not try to turn it on? Nah, it's fine. Let's just make sure that this phone does work on DC power, and that if not, we have to separate the layers, which will change how we have to replace that connector and rebuild that area. If it does, then we won't have to separate the layers. So let's see, or maybe we could potentially not have to separate the layers. All right, let's try to bring up the good old-fashioned DC power supply so that you guys can see it. All right, DC power supply, plug it in, hit on. All right, that looks like it's on. Locate the 11 Pro, plug it into the battery, which is that guy. And do we see a short? Kind of. There looks like there's a 10 milliamp leak. we'll let that slide for now. Could be because of our problem here. All right, I really don't have any clue in the 11 Pro which one of these is the power buttons. I'm gonna have to just guess. Is it one of these? Yep. All right, prompting it to boot. And hang on. Nope, not hanging. It's thinking about it. Yes. All right. Phone does look like it's booting. That DC power, wherever there it is. DC power. Phone's booting. Excellent. So we're gonna disconnect that right here, and achievement unlocked. Close that up. All right, so that does make this a connector job. That's our display connector. So let's go ahead and take that sucker off and then see how does it look? What's the rebuild gonna look like? All right, let's see. If in such a case you need to remove connector and after that you concluded the board is completely dead, should you solder another connector on to make it intact? Oh heavens no, I'm not gonna put a connector on a dead board. That would just be I can't see any argument to do that. The end case on all of these is that the board is going to get chip transfer, data containing chip transfer, because the guy's really wanting his data on this. All right, so we're gonna try to get this sucker off. I'm gonna take it off probably with hot air. I don't know. We can maybe take it off without using hot air. That way we don't like have any risk to making it, hard on the layers. Might be easiest. I don't know, could kind of go either way on that. Let's see, desolder the FPC connector and check out how bad that damage is. Maybe you might be able to transplant to a donor board for data recovery. I would not think that would be necessary in this case. I prefer to not transfer data containing chips because if anything goes wrong, if a pad gets pulled on the CPU, then you're really out of luck. Then there's no recovering from that. There's no plan B. And I know there's a lot of videos that are out there like, look at this CPU swap success, CPU this, CPU that. You're not seeing all of the ones that are like, oh yeah, doesn't boot. Those don't show up. So it is a pretty straightforward, with experience, procedure, but it's still not without risk, so I don't like to do it. Those heated tweezers are fantastic. Yes, they are. These are my faves. I've had these for years. In fact, the entire reason that we became, Hakko dealers is because these mini hot tweezers are really great. They're really great because the tweezers can become almost like a custom fit soldering iron. It's actually the melted solder that's transferring the heat, like right there. But the mini hot tweezers kind of help them get into any shape. So we could take this off with hot air, but this is pretty easy. Just go in pin by pin, then we'll have to clean this all up. I normally don't like to do it this way. It's just kind of messy. But in this case, I think it will help us keep, I bet that there is no water on the inside layers of the board just because it doesn't look like this phone really got wet. I think probably this phone's problem was water in the screen that was creating a short to ground and allowing the main power to come through this connector and go to ground inside the screen. So the board itself may have not been wet at all. All right. First time catching a live stream. What's your opinion on some of the autofocus microscope cameras? Well, we were just talking about that stuff. I think that professionally nobody really uses USB cameras because when you're microsoldering, like what I'm doing right now, you see me looking through eyepieces into a microscope. And that's a really natural way to work on something really detailed. So if you think about if a kid came up to you and was like, oh, I got a tiny little splinter, you would say, come here, and you would hold their finger like this, and your head position would be looking down, and you would be very close. So that sort of styling, that feeling is very natural from a biology standpoint. If you were to use a USB microscope that you put over here, and then you put a monitor, and now your head is like this, looking up at a monitor while you're working over there, that's very awkward for your brain. So I am not a fan of any of the USB cameras for anything other than like demonstration. And I've thought about, you know, kind of getting one maybe for YouTube, because it's hard for you guys to see what looks, you know, it looks really clear to me under my microscope, but it is hard to show that on YouTube. So I've thought about that. I don't know. We'll see. What does the sticker 19882 supposed to indicate? That is the, well, that is a weird number. Usually that is, oh yeah, this is the guy. This guy is a rush invoice. So that is an indication to me that he is in a hurry and has paid for an extra front of the line pass. So that's just an invoice. So we got like a lot of rules around here. And that is just a ID number for this board. Almost done. All right. Probably a job number. Yep. Thought about doing a live stream yesterday. I don't know if you guys have noticed that it seems like all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, at least around here, the whole world is just obsessed with the caffeine drink Celsius. Do you guys drink Celsius? I had never heard of Celsius until 2 weeks ago, and then I saw like an ad. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. So I tried some. And then my kid I saw had like some Celsius. Then when I went to a Tesla guy, like just kind of walking around trying to figure out what could I do about this Tesla, every single dude in there had a can of Celsius on their desk. And I was like, what is this? So I drank like a can of Celsius, and then I noticed that like my soldering hands were like really, really shaky. And I thought it would be fun to do a stream called, you know, like, how much microsoldering can you do after drinking Celsius caffeine drink? And it's really just remarkable, like how cool for some product to be like, I've never heard of this, to it being like, it's everywhere. Like, what a marketing genius that is. All right. That's probably all of that. I have an iPhone 11 in for repair, which I was told didn't charge, and the screen was fine. Seems that charging is fine. Phone is turning on, and the screen is the issue. Easy fix. Well, you are lucky. So an iPhone 11 that you were told doesn't charge. Phone is turning on, and the screen is the issue. Interesting. All right. Let's clean up the plastic goo and see where we are with this. Yeah, this is so messy that kind of, I don't really love this method. But it is an option. All right. I've not heard of it regarding any drink, only the temperature scale. Yeah, what is the difference between Celsius and centigrade? Prefer Kelvin. All right, we're gonna get this goo out of here. Every one of these little components needs to be in good shape. All right. Still a little bit more goo. Still a little bit more. All right, and then there's only one little blob that we've got to go for. All right, now, what are we gonna do about the ripped up corner? Do we even need the circuitry that's in that ripped up corner, and how do we find out? What do you think should be our plan for that? I'm gonna put some nice leaded solder on here. And just kind of refresh all these guys. And then we need to do some research, come up with a plan about what's going on here in that big hiccup. Make sure there's no oxidation on any of these guys. All right. Now let's clean that up. Let me make sure that you guys can see that well enough-ish. Maybe. All right, so how many actual pins are indeed missing now that we're really getting a look at it? It looks like we're gonna have to drill in and maybe add some light. All right, so that has cleaned up and doesn't look as bad. Now let's zoom and see what is really going on in here. All right, here's the money. Let's get that nice and clear for you guys. Let's make that nice and clear. It is hard to focus these because this is so tiny. Look, this is my finger. You know, it's like so tiny that any kind of twist is going to lift or lower that focal plane, and then you're kind of out of focus. All right, so it looks much neater now. All right, let's count. All right, let's get out the tweezers and let's see. All right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I can't see, it's too close. All right, we've got this guy, which corresponds to the neighbor, and now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 down here that are missing up here. So 1, presumably 2, 3, 4. And we can see a little bit more of what's going on. There is, this center is likely ground. So we've got this whole piece here is likely ground. But let's confirm that it is ground. It's probably just a big sheet of ground that goes under this connector. And if it is ground, then we can get rid of it, get it out of our way. All right, so how are we gonna figure out if that's ground? I'm gonna park a probe on ground, like here, and then I'm just gonna probe this, and in continuity mode, hear the beep, so that is ground. So that tells me that this piece is extra unnecessary stuff. So what we're gonna do is kind of try to make a clean break. So I'm gonna just wiggle that off, in theory. All right, come on, break it off. Okay, all right, step 1. Now, let's dig back in there. Okay, so now we can see this other layer is sort of filleted up right here. And that, to be honest, like reading the board, it looks like this layer is connected to over here, 1, 2, kind of this whole piece. 1, 2, 3. Normally the ends of connectors are ground, but sometimes they are the main power rail. So I'm gonna guess, we can look it up later, but I'm gonna guess that this whole corner of the connector is probably the main power rail. So let's see if it is. It should not be ground. So I'm gonna put one probe here and just ask, are you ground? No, so there's no beep there. So none of that is ground. And just from looking at it, from looking at where the dark lines are, where the light lines are, I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, all of this plus these two guys, I think it's all one big piece of metal. So let's see if that's true. So we're going to use continuity mode, where I'm going to park one probe now down here. Park. And now I'm going to ask, are you the same as that guy? Yes. Are you the same? Yes. And you? Yes. 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 All right, so that's probably the main power rail. Now I'm going to go to diode mode, and just from experience, the main power rail diode mode is about 0.3, and this is 0.296. So I betcha that that is all the main power rail. So I don't want the main power rail to touch stuff down below. So to me, it looks like this. I can lift that up a little bit. Let me zoom in so that you guys can see that more clearly. So when I look here, I can lift this up. Now I need that. That's the main power rail. But I don't want it to touch anything here. This A, B, C, and that sort of copper. To me, that looks like it's a second layer, like down in the board. So I doubt that that is the same thing at all, but let's use the multimeter just to make sure that it's not. So I'm going to do the exact same thing again. I'm going to go back to continuity mode. Continuity mode. Now I'm going to put a probe right here where we know that is a piece of it. And then I'm going to say, are you down here the same piece of metal? No, as expected. What about this little piece here? It is the same piece, right? So this main power rail is really being fed from that little nubbin, that little copper piece right there. That guy is part of the same thing, which probably means that at least that first missing pad is that guy. And then we don't know what goes there. This is something else. And under there, oh no, there's little tiny fine traces under there that are indeed torn. So that's not good. Yeah, look at that. That is, the board is like fried, like friable, like furry, like coming apart. And under there are indeed, ugh, that's bad. I can see that we are broken on, yeah, we have 1, 2, 3 very, very tiny circuits under there. Maybe that one. Yeah, this is a big pile of spaghetti. 5 or 6 of those things are broken. But do we need them? Are they part of image? They're right underneath the LCD connector? I don't know. Okay, so at this point, now we have to figure out 2 things. One, what's the 5 or 6 tiny thin broken lines there that were in a little zone that looks like it was once on fire? What are they? And then number 2, we are missing probably 1, 2, 3, 4 pins, and figure out what are they for. And then we've got to just kind of maybe fold that back so that it doesn't make our new connector sit up. Let's head to ZXW and see what we can find out. All right, that looks a bit dismal in the little messy section. It sure does. All right. If I ever did one of these videos, you'd all go blind from seeing my terrible fingernails. All right, let's see. Let's go to ZXW, and let me see if I can find it. 11 Pro Max. All right, let's just do that. 11 Pro Max. Now let's find ZXW for you guys and see. Let's go here, ZXW. Is it gonna work? Yay, ZXW. All right, there it is. So now we're all looking at the same thing. Okay, so let's pick this first one randomly, 11 Pro Max. And let's flip it And the connector that we're looking at, let me make that be the same. So I'm going to change, I'm going to flip the board around so that we have the SIM. And then on the top board, this is the charge port. And then this is where we plug in the screen. So we're concerned here about this bottom right. All right, back to ZXW. Let's check that same spot. All right, so we're going to say there's the long charge port, and then we're looking at the bottom right. Okay, so what we're missing are 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 3 that we're missing is ground, so we don't care about that. And then we are missing number 1 and 2, which are all part, like we discovered, this is the main power rail feeding into this connector. So we can easily recover from just that part. Now here's where things get sticky. We are missing this 4th one. So this pad is missing. So this is display to AP panel IDR, probably important. And let's see, where does that go? It goes from the display to this small resistor, and then it continues through this resistor and probably goes to the CPU. Let's find out, where do you go after that? Aha, it does go right to the CPU. So the CPU must need to talk to the screen and just say, hey, what are the screen's chips? You know, who are you? And get some kind of information back on that line. So I'm going to guess that without that line, then it's going to be really hard to get display, which is something that we're going to need to recover the data. So let's look and see if that is indeed true. Let's look back at the board. So the missing 4th pad goes to this little local resistor. So let's just kind of probe around here at the local resistor. The missing pad has a diode mode reading of 0.898. All right, so we'll keep that in mind, and then we're going to go look over here. So we are missing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, this one right here, this 4th one that we can see the little torn nub. I usually don't like to pick this stuff off without using a little bit of heat, but heat is also kind of loud. All right, so we've got kind of a standalone little resistor here. So let's check back and see ZXW and see what does that match to. Yep, so we have a bunch of components, and then we've got one that's intentionally no stuffed. So this one is the, doesn't go anywhere. And then this guy is the standalone resistor. And the standalone resistor goes right to our missing pad. So the standalone resistor goes right to our missing pad. And we can even see the little torn piece of copper that pad used to connect to. That is still recoverable as long as we get the right diode mode reading on the resistor, meaning we've got a line from the CPU to the side of the resistor, through the resistor, to that little nub. If that does go back to the CPU and we get a 0.898 reading on it, then that means we could make a little tiny jumper to our future connector. So let's find out. Does it? All right, so we have to go to diode mode, and diode mode. Well, let's try it. Diode mode is not helping us. Diode mode on that guy is saying OL. OL is not good. OL means that this is not going back to the CPU when it should. Let's make sure we're... Why not? Why do you not go back to the CPU when you should? Well, the worry is because the way that we get from that resistor back to the CPU is through some kind of spaghetti strand that was one of these little guys. These are ones that are like really torn, which is that is going to be really difficult to decipher out. And that would be one where it may be less risky to try to transfer CPU. But let's see. Let's probe around here on these side ones. 0.298, that's main. That looks like it's main. That's OL. All right, let's see if we can find any more information about why these guys, where these guys go. So right now, it looks like we have a pretty big problem in that we have to get from the screen through that resistor back to the CPU. And if the path between the screen and the resistor, we can heal the screen to the resistor. But if the resistor doesn't have a path that goes back to the CPU, then the only way to fix that would be to lift up the CPU and put a wire underneath where the CPU line connects and bring that wire back to the connector. So that doesn't make sense to do. It doesn't make sense to lift up the CPU and make a jumper under the CPU to come back to this resistor. If we were going to do that, if we were going to lift up the CPU, then at that point, it's, if you've lifted off the CPU, then you might as well eliminate all other variables, reball the CPU, and put it on a receiver board. So let's do a little bit more research here before we kind of say that's definitely what's going on. So let me make sure that we're all clear. I'm going to bring back ZXW, and let's talk about what's going on. So here at ZXW, we've determined that this resistor, R5705, is connecting the screen at a line called display to AP CPU panel ID. That's almost certainly required to be there to let the CPU know who the screen is. That line right now is gone. And so if we measure it over here at our 5705, we should still get that same 0.898, but we don't. We get OL. OL, which is either, well, 898 is a mistake and it's OL, it's just a really high number, probably unlikely, or it's OL because the path from here through our 5705 back to the CPU. So here's the CPU. Back to the CPU. That path through the layers of the board is broken because we can see these little 5 strands of spaghetti that are severed under there. Okay. Let's do one more thing. Let's see if there happens to be any other information. Let's click open these other 11 Pro Max. Here we go. 11 Pro Max Core Polygon has a little bit more information. So let's look. Let's go back to our spot. And now here's our important line that's missing. We could recover from the missing main pads. We could make jumpers, lots of places to, connect to and make a jumper even right here at the end of the connector. That's not hard. This is hard. So let's see if we can look kind of in the layers of the board. So I'm going to go over here on ZXW and I'm going to ask it to show me the path in the board of the traces. So let's let it do that. So I've just clicked on, let me make this more clear for you guys. So I'm going to delete me so that you guys can see under here. So what I'm doing now is I have just clicked, I don't know if you can see my clicks or not, right here. So I'm clicking and showing the different traces inside the 7-layer logic board. And my goal is to figure out which ones go under here that are the severed spaghetti wires that we can see. All right, so I'm looking to see where does that display panel, let's see where it goes back here. Where does that Where does that one go? So I'm just going to click through here. Sometimes you get lucky and you can find these, and other times not. Let's see what this purple one is in here. That's not good. So deep in the board is one called PP0V8 SoC Fixed S1. That is a CPU power voltage. And is that our spaghetti wires that are broken? We don't know. Let's look at what else is under here. That isn't really anything. Let's look at the next layer. So deep, deep, deep under the connector is this guy, PPGPU. Deep, deep under there. That is probably a pretty important line that you don't want to have broken. Let's click down here. Let's click back here. And let's click that one. So now, let me click away. Here on layer 7. So layer 7, we can see that our line that we care about goes from the other side of R5705. It's got to go back to the CPU. That it goes to some little spot in the board here. It goes down, and then it appears right here. And it goes kind of across the connector, and then it goes through the board down there, and then it's going to pop up. I don't know where, somewhere else. Let's see. It goes under the CPU, and it pops up through that spot there, leading to the pad. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that the reason why we are open, so I'm going to bring this back to make sure we understand. So what does this mean? It means that the reason why, most likely, that we have an OL reading is because the break between R5705 is between the CPU and R5705, because we can see now with our eyes that it does go down and then it crosses under the connector, and right here in this corner, you know, this is actually that is kind of like a little bit over from where we're going, but I still think that's the likely reason. All right, is there anything else that we can see? We can see like some spaghetti wires that are broken. Let's click on these. This is something called AP MISO boot config. Probably not important because it looks like the phone is able to boot, so those probably aren't important. All right, going to the NAND. Okay, well, that's our analysis. Let's see. Maybe duct tape will help. It means it's jumper time. Okay, so there's no good quality jumper that we can do to like definitely solve this problem. What we can do is we can just say, let's put a connector on there, but I think it has a really low chance of working because there's no feasible way for us to recover from the fact that our display ID line is broken between the connector and the CPU. It's broken here in the layers of the board, and we're not going to be able to put a jumper and heal it without taking up the CPU because it doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't have any other highway stops that we could solder a wire from some resistor or something like that. So that's so why would we even bother to put a connector on here? Because we don't know for sure that that line is indeed required. Number two is we don't know for sure that the diode mode reading listed in ZXW of 0.898 right here is in fact true. Like maybe it is not broken and it's just a normal, it's just OL is another word for really, really high. So it could be that. So why don't we put a connector on here? I don't think that we can really recover from our broken spaghetti down there, but it's also really hard to see what it is. Let me do one more thing. I'm gonna just see if we can figure out if any of the broken spaghetti that we can see is R5705. If it is, then maybe we could try to figure out where does it go. But that would be really hard. But let me see if I can get some like ultra fine point probes. All right, Brad, do you have any ultra fine point probes? Because I got to probe seriously tiny stuff. All right, let me close that away so we can see.
Which one do you got?
I have regular fine point probes, but not ultra fine point. I need finer than that. I need the pencil ones. You want to get them like from the ones that are called?
Those are the long ones?
No, they're in the window and they're in a box that says best or something like that.
That's what these are.
They're not as ultra fine point as I want them to be.
The older version.
Those don't look like they could stab you. They don't look like they're like as injury producing as I want them to be. All right, Brad's gonna hook me up with that. And this spaghetti is just, if we had to fix this without taking the CPU off, then what we would need to do is take a known good board. And this would be one of those jobs where I would use that fiberglass pen that I'm always saying like, oh, you don't need that fiberglass pen. Fiberglass pen, if you took the connector off a known good, you could tease it out and figure out where do each of these pieces of spaghetti go and make them go back home. All right, so it does look like there's just a number of these. And our question that we want to ask with the superfine point probes is, does this end of the resistor right here, does this end of the resistor connect to any of this spaghetti? And if so, then we could find out where's the other end over here and do something about it.
Good access.
Huh?
Good access.
What?
They were not the same.
They were not the same, no. No, they're like, yeah, these guys. These guys will hurt you. That's why they gotta have like caps.
Yeah, they look like they will.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty serious.
All right, here we go. These are also on the iPad Rehab supply store. Ultra or super fine. Super ultra mega fine. Titanium fine. I don't know. They're I think they're the only ones that are on there that are ultra fine tips. These guys. Let me show you the difference. They're just a little bit thinner. Not very much though. Fine and ultra fine. Okay. Will that help us? They're just a little bit thinner, but still they're enormously huge. All right, now here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna park a probe right here and just say, do any of you guys beep to that guy? Not good. That is not good. You? No? All right. That guy right there. Ah, all right. So God, that's like really frustrating because it makes it back to potentially solvable. All right, what are we talking about here? All right, so I just used the multimeter to determine that, oh, this is so tiny. Right here, the end of our display ID line that we need. We know for sure that it goes to this burnt looking piece of crap trace right there. And it's really rough, but we would have to just sort of guess What are you supposed to connect to? And I think it's supposed to connect to that guy right there. All right, so in that case, we could try to heal it with a little bit of solder. Let's try to heal it since it looks like we can identify the actual break there in the spaghetti. Should we try to fix the spaghetti, or should we give up and go to HFL Unplugged and watch the kids play Fool in the Rain? I should do another. I'm going to do another poll. Let's do a poll. Start a poll. Should we give up now and go watch Fool in the Rain? Oh. We'll just say give up now, or spaghetti jumper time. All right, ask your community. All right, chat, what should we do? Should we try to heal the one that we know is probably important, the display ID panel line? Heal that so that we could put a connector on it, bring back main to the connector, make everything happy. Knowing that, we have severed a few other lines in there that we're just going to say, well, we don't know what they are. And quitting is for the weak. If it reads positive. All right. So I don't even think the multimeter will be able to get a diode mode reading. I think I'm going to not try to get a diode mode reading. All right, let's try and see. Chat strongly feels that we should do a spaghetti jumper, unlike when you guys picked this phone, when we could have had this nice, easy charging chip job. Spaghetti jumper time. All right, fair enough. Okay, let's see if that is possible. All right, now this is going to be a really difficult jumper to make regardless, because the traces here are really friable, really, really damaged. But we'll give it a try anyway. All right, so with something like this, my goal is to just be really gentle and just see if it's possible to kind of tin both sides. It's hard to even recognize where we're going here. So what I really care about is the bottom side. That, like, something like that is so mild, that might even have gotten it. And I like to be really cautious. I will stop if I got my diode mode back here at my dude. Oh well. All right, not done. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, is trying to test until diode mode is. Is that a jumper? Diode mode, survey says. Wait for it. 0.878. Oh my God, that was it, guys. All right, check this out. That seems like something I would think would be unbelievable if I were you guys. So here we are. Look at the on-screen multimeter. I'm hitting that resistor right now. It was, oh well, look, 0.87. Huzzah! Look at that. That is like so tiny. And barely there. But they're so, like, easy to damage. All right, now the rest of the spaghetti is, you know, you can't, you have no idea what it's going to and what it's, where, you know, which one of this, which spaghetti is supposed to talk to which other spaghetti. So there's no way to, like, find that stuff out. All right, there you go. Now, Now that we have healed that, let me take a quick look at ZXW again and just see if we can kind of get any hints over what's going on under there in some of the other spaghettiness. All right, so we were looking in this layer. All right, so this looks probably like some of the other missing spaghetti lines. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of lines. So let's just see, what are these? AOP to IMU. We do not care about you. IMU gyroscope, don't need it. Next guy. USB V-bus detect. Hey. Hey. It's not good. All right, next one. Charger check. It's not going to charge. All right. I2S AOP amp S to codec. All right, that's going to be sound. We don't care about sound. Next guy, PMU to doTERRA reset. That's wireless charging. We're gonna have to externally charge up a battery. And then this is our guy, display to AP panel ID. We fixed that one. And then over here, hey, no, man, we almost got away with it. No, let me click back. Are you guys able to see this? Yeah, okay. This last one is AP to Racer ref clock. Racer is a touch chip. Clock is important. Reference clock is important. So if that one is broken, which it is, like I can see that it is, and I don't think I'll be able to see where it goes. Let's see. Does it go anywhere that we can connect to? That's probably broken. So without that line being healed, then we're not going to have touch. So let's see. That's a drag. All right, let's see. Does it go? Where does it go? All right, the line is called AP to Racer ref clock. Let's see, is there a possibility of us just saying, so what, that's broken, putting a connector on it, staying broken. Can we make an overland jumper to connect wherever the two pieces of ref clock are, A and B, and see if we can do that. So we have to go find, we have to go on a hunt. Where is AP to Racer ref clock? Let's see. All right, let me get out of, all right, so we're looking at layer 8. And where does it go? Okay, we got a little tiny resistor next to the CPU. AP to Racer ref clock. That's great because we could go find that guy and we could put a wire there and bring it to wherever the other side is. Where is the other side of AP to Racer ref clock? Let's see. Where does AP to Racer ref clock go? Is there anything in here called AP to Racer ref clock? I don't know. All right, let's go and see if we can just find that line. Yeah, AP to Racer ref clock connector. Yeah, show me that. It's going to be in here. Where's AP to Racer ref clock? AP to Racer. Just looking for it. Are you guys tracking? Yeah. Does it go to one of these resistors? Where are you, AP to Racer ref clock? This would be where, if we had the schematic readily available, it would be nice to look that up. All right, so probably a touch connector. There we go. Is that it? Yeah, AP to racer ref clock. Okay, AP to racer ref clock. Great news! It looks like over at the touch connector, even though AP to racer goes from the touch connector, apparently over and under our LCD connector where it's broken and therefore not going to make it to the CPU, there are 2 spots that we could heal that if closed. And somebody asked earlier, hey, if you find that something like isn't repairable, would you put the connector back on? Hell no. So I'm not going to fix touch or even think about that until after I see this actually boot up with image. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say noted for what all could possibly be broken from our spaghetti, which is, what do we care about? USB V-bus detect. And then we care about like charger, some kind of a charger line. Maybe we care about wireless charging, not really though. But that USB V-bus detect, we're gonna care about that. And we're gonna care about our racer clock line because that means we're gonna have a problem offloading data, even if we get image, because we're not gonna have touch, probably, and we're not gonna be able to plug it into a computer, probably, even though we might still be able to get data wirelessly or through some other means. So, what are we gonna do now? Now we're gonna try and put a connector on here and heal up the rest of the damage and just see, can we actually see this boot up with image? And if so, then we would continue on. Maybe not today, but we would continue on to say, can we fix touch? Which we could, because we could heal that jumper or heal that line that we know is broken. All right, chat. Now we have done the spaghetti jumper. So let's do another one, which is, should we quit now? I'm not opposed to that. Let it marinate and come back later? Or should we just add a new connector? Ask your community. All right, chat, what should we do? All right, let's see. Quitting is for the weak. Hi, humans. How can this be tinned without creating solder bridges? Very carefully. Family is too important. Well, I'm not going to miss it, that's for sure, but it really doesn't start until for a while. Let's see. Wow, just like that. Specs say it should be. Your kid needs you. We can do this another time. Oh, I love Joy Daddy. Joy Daddy's voting for quit now. Put some spaghetti sauce on it and we'll see what happens to the spaghetti. Wow, meatballs too. Such a luck. It doesn't go anywhere. Yes, it does. All right. Spaghetti jumper time, give up now. We already did that. All right, so we've got just add a new connector at 94%. All right, fair enough. And that will be a reasonable place to let this marinate. All right, putting on a new connector. In order to put a new connector on, we need to protect our spaghetti jumper, our display panel ID line. We cannot let that just become unsoldered. Isn't that amazing? Just like, look at how magnificently tiny that is, that we healed something, like compared to my finger. So tiny, man! That is so tiny. All right. So with that, we can't like put a connector on until we've protected this spot. We kind of got it to scab up. And we can't do that while it has either flux or alcohol on it. Now let's see, do we still have our jumper? It is still intact, 0.87. That seems reasonable enough for us to put a little bit of green on it. Wasn't it easy? Do you remember the old SE that we fixed? So easy. Don't you love ones like that? I sure do. All right, so we're going to put a little green, and we're going to use Jess's gray hair trick because we want this to be exactly where we want this to go and nowhere else. So we're going to take the little tiny human hair to make a paintbrush. Paint. Paint the spaghetti. Hopefully none of those spaghetti lines are like bridged together, but I don't think so. All right, there's a little bit of like kind of main rail here that's exposed. We'll cover that up. Okay, isn't that wild that like the line that we just know is broken goes from here under there through the spaghetti to get to the CPU. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to confirm that this thing starts at 7 because family is important. Can you confirm that unplugged starts at 7? Okay, we'll get confirmation on that. All right. Brad, we got any UV that you know where it is? The light. Mine's been robbed. All right, now we're going to dig up our UV light and see what happens. Can an iPhone 6 water damage with no corrosion be repairable? Yes, sometimes, no other times. If the reason that it doesn't turn on is because of data corruption, you can restore it and that'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and put some, let's put hand cam back. So we're going to just put a little UV light on there for a minute. And I'm going to dig up, what are we going to do for a connector? I need a donor board to harvest one. If the reason that it is unhappy is because of a short circuit, easy to fix that. Corrosion, though, is really your best friend because corrosion means that's where the problem is. All right. I don't have enough hair for that trick. Well, Rob Brown, you're going to have to use pubes. That's just the way it is. You got to be dedicated to your craft. That's just the way it is. All right, now let's do this. Let's go ahead and harvest the connector while we are doing UV. UV really doesn't take more than like a minute, but. All right, I only have one of these, so hope this works out. I'm going to take that connector off. Give some more air speed here. I really want to know if any of you guys in chat can tell me right now, does the internet say that I'm definitely not going to be able to fix that Tesla headlight by swapping it, because that's going to really suck. Oh, so close. All right, there's my guy. That's gonna suck. All right, UV is done. Where did the donor board source from? The donor board came from iPad Rehab Supply. Go look at our iCloud locked donor boards. Did they serialize a headlight? They better not. If they do, I'm gonna lose my shit. Plus, I'm gonna have to buy Lewis dinner, which is, you know, also gonna suck. If the moms of iPad Rehab can replace the headlight and it works, then Lewis is gonna come to Rochester and take us out to dinner. All right, but I'm gonna be pissed if I can't replace that headlight. All right, let's see, I wanted to learn how to try the whole, what is it even called? Oh yeah, let's see. Can I find the iPad Rehab iCloud lock boards on here? Let's see. Stencils, bunch of charge IC, bracket, microscope light. Here's a multimeter with fine tip leads that we talked about. I don't know why that YouTube only like recognizes certain specific products from the iPad Rehab store and not all of them. So I wanted to just click over. Oh, here we go. iCloud lock training boards. Ding. iCloud lock training boards are, you know, each different board. So that if you need something like this where you're like, I don't know what's wrong and I got to get a bunch of different chips, or I want to learn, always learn by working on working boards. So that's what the iCloud lock training boards are for. All right, back to this. Okay, let's get this on here. And all right, I think just let me make sure my jumper survived the greening. All right, let's do a quick diode mode here at our guy, 0.8. So that's still good. And I think I'm just going to try to get a connector on here, kind of speed mode. So here's our guy. And we know we're going to have to do a little bit of editing of him. But let's get him on there and then we'll see. All right. The brain is bolted to the side. You can swap it over to the new headlight. I'm gonna say, all right, Prolux Electronics, why don't you send me a message? I might be needing to ask you some questions when we get into this. So the headlight has a brain? All right, so that sounds interesting. Sounds very similar to phones. Like, I really think the Tesla is going to be a giant iPhone. So I don't see what the big deal is. It's kind of the reverse of this stuff. I think it'll be fun to work on something that is big instead of tiny. But the whole point of it, if you didn't hear at the beginning of the stream, is that I can't get my car inspected because it's going to fail because the headlight is still broken from when I hit that deer. And if I ask Tesla what to do about it, they say, collision, there is nobody in Rochester that will help you, which isn't true, but that's what the Tesla app says. Tesla told me that I have to drive to Canada for this headlight repair, which is insane. Can you imagine driving to Canada to just fix a headlight? Why would a headlight need a brain? Just put a candle in there. Will a candle pass the New York State inspection? Will it? I don't know. Brad's bet is that the headlight's going to go on just fine. This is just a headlight I bought on eBay, so hope it's okay. Headlight's going to go on just fine, but the car is only going to work during the day, and not at night. That's his bet. I believe in repair. I believe in that manufacturers. Honestly, I believe that they're trying to do a good job. They're trying to make reliable products that they're proud of. I don't think that they're intentionally making it difficult. I don't want to think that. And so therefore, there's no universe where a car manufacturer, I'm looking at you, Elon Musk, is going to make it so that a bunch of moms can't fix a headlight on a Tesla. That's what I think. That's my belief. And I'm going to be really sad to be proven wrong on that. Why are you laughing over there, Brad?
Sounds like dinner for somebody.
Sounds like dinner for somebody. Ha! All right, let's get these guys on here. This is so tiny. Love the mini hot tweezers. A lot of people ask me whether the mini hot tweezers, can you just order the mini hot tweezers and use them on your FX 951? Answer no, sadly. They will run on some of these old Hakos, like the, I think 250s. But if you want to do what I do, then you got to buy the one the whole little bundle that we put on the supply store, which is the 203, and it comes with these same mini hot tweezers with these same tips that I use. And it comes with the little sleep stands that make it sleep. And the mini hot tweezers plus their tips, plus the regular iron, plus the regular tip that we use. All right, now here's where it's going to get dicey. All right, so now to go to here, all I need is a little jumper there, and then these guys, I just need kind of a thick jumper. So I'll do thick jumper first, and then we're going to do a quick diode mode, and then we're going to just let our fate be sealed for today, because it is going to get too close to time to go to HFL Unplugged. I may be wrong, but wouldn't Lewis just do that, will a whole bunch of flux and squirt some solder in there and shoot it with a heat gun? Well, Lewis would never do this regardless, because Lewis doesn't solder on phones. And these are very tiny, so that's a completely different technique. So for phones, especially this is all wobbly, right? You've got a folded over piece of VCC main under there. And for phones, these are so tiny that if you did just slap it back on there, the amount of solder that's on there would be too scant to make it so that when you plugged in your screen, you just rip up the whole connector. So if in a pinch, if you had throw the phone away otherwise because you really cannot get into this level of detail, then you could solder it on that way, but I wouldn't recommend that. I always anchor it and then I go pin by pin. All right, so we've learned that over here at the edge is just main. All right, that should be good. Big jumper is done, in theory. Let's try to wiggle off his tail. And then we've got our difficult one. Our super tiny one. I might save that. All right. We still have to do our second super tiny display ID jumper. But before we go too nuts, let's just make sure that we have our main power rail here. All right, so now it's 0.24, which makes me nervous that it's bridged into something. All right, 0.24. And that one goes nowhere. And this one currently goes nowhere. Brad, you scared the shit out of me, man. Brad's over there probing something that's ground when I'm probing my 0.8 display ID, and I heard beep, and I was like, what? But no. All right, so last step. The resistor is still 0.8, which is good, and now we just have to bring it over here to the foot of that. And for that, that's so tiny, I'm gonna, I think, use the superfine jumper rather than a piece of braid. Oh, this stuff is so tiny. Sometimes it gets really aggravating here at the end of the day. Okay. There's not really a good angle for me to see. And definitely not for you guys. What I'm seeing is about twice as close as what you're seeing. So I keep having to like back out or I can't see it all. Okay. That stupid screw hole is right where I want to go. God damn it, came off. I don't think that's it, but if it is, I certainly don't want to mess with it. So let's just go to multimeter until we have pin 4 is 0.8. Yay, got it, pin 4, 0.8. Yay. Let me show that to you guys. I'm gonna stick this here and let's try this. Let's try hand cam, but let's move hand cam up there. Let's try this. All right, so where are we now? We got here, 0.2. 0.2. 0.2. All right, then we've got our no longer connected to ground, and then over here, 0.8. Phew. All right, so we have brought back our 4 missing pads, but we know at the same time that under there, there's some spaghetti that's ripped up, and we know of the spaghetti that's ripped up. A lot of the spaghetti are things we don't care about, except for we are missing racer clock, which is important, and USB detect, which may be important. All right, so now let's see what happens if we plug a screen in it. All right, so very carefully, I'm gonna plug a screen in it. All right, let's see. Those pins don't have any solder on them. No, that's why we gotta use some flux and some wire that doesn't really need a lot. All right, now I do need to make sure that the edge of my jumper isn't going anywhere else. I remove that guy. And let's look back. It's really like so fragile that I don't want to like do anything to it. We'll just leave it long. Okay. Moment of truth. I think regardless, it is too tight for me to do anything else today. So this one is definitely going to have to marinate. Oh, I don't have a screen. Hey! I need a 11 Pro Max screen. I'm gonna go on a hunt and look for a screen. All right, chat, cross your fingers. Let's see. All right, here's an 11 Pro Max, brand new screen. It is kind of funny that the 11 series, those screens do not like to get wet. Other screens really don't care. All right, so we're really not expecting for there to be touch. USB, I don't know about, but let's give it a try. Okay, so hand cam, move this out. What do you think's gonna happen here, chat? I'm gonna be bummed out when image doesn't work because I'm out of time. I didn't really confirm. Usually if I do a connector, I like to diode mode the whole thing just to make sure that there's not like some little spot that just didn't make a good bond, which is, happens all the time. All right, now let's go back to DC power. It does concern me a little bit that the diode mode on the main power rail is 0.29 instead of 0.33. We did see a 10 milliamp leak, which I'm going to guess means that something is touching main power rail inside the board somewhere. But hopefully that's not a deal breaker. All right. Well, so far so good. Our 10 milliamp short to ground is gone since we've sort of teased this apart a little bit. And now for the sad reality when nothing works. All right, let's see. I'm going to plug it in. Let's see if it can recognize USB as a prompt to boot, which it does. And oh no, I don't see any image. Boo hiss. No! Boo. I don't think I have time. Let me see if I got any feedback. Booting with no image. Now I really do wish I had diode moded the whole connector. So now, let's see. Early, middle. All right. All right, let's see. Here's a question. Is little brother required to go see big brother play this gig? Or is he allowed to just chill at home? All right, I'm going to take this screen off and quickly diode mode and hope that one of these joints is cold. Because if not, then that means something else is broken that we need in the layer underneath our spaghetti, which is bad. All right, let's see. But hopefully these kinds of streams are fun regardless. Let's see. Where is ZXW? And let's get rid of this guy. And let's diode mode. All right, so diode mode, I will tell you guys what it says. So diode mode, zooming in. That's the wrong connector. Zooming in right here. Okay, so let me orient this to be exactly the same. All right, diode mode is, oh, it says it's supposed to be 0.29. That's good. Let me pull ZXW over. ZXW, move over. It's too hard. All right, I'll just have to tell you what I get. All right, diode mode. Wake up the multimeter. 0.29, 29, and then It's supposed to be ground, but it doesn't go to ground, it goes nowhere, and we've intentionally left that off. 0.8. All right. Oh, whoops. All right, then there are 3 no connects, and then it's supposed to be 0.3, 0.3. So let's see. All right, so after my 0.8, there is 1, 2, 3 OLs, and then a 0.3. Ah, nope. 0.3, 0.3. And then a ground, and then 0.4. Ah, good. It's a little bit open here. Yeah, found one that's open. Ha. Yes, still alive. All right, so I'm just doing a diode mode in the connector, and one of the ones here that says 0.418 is open. You can feel it a little bit on the side. So let's minus this, and let's see if we can find out why that is. Yeah, it's just a little lifty on that side. So I'm gonna try to fix it up a little bit. It's hard on these connectors when they're having to go on like a wobbly, like ragged board, you know, that has like folds under it. All right, let's get rid of hand cam. All right, now I'm gonna have to kind of go into some speed mode here. Where I really want to see it. All right, let me check back, diode mode, and we'll see. All right, so it was 0.8, and then there were 3 open lines. And then it was a 0.3, 0.3 ground, and then there was 0.4, which is now 0.4. 0.4 ground. 0.4, 0.4, ground, 0.4, 0.4. All right, that whole side is done. Okay. That side's good. Let me just, I think I would regret not diode moding the other side. All right, let's do the other side real quick. All right, so starting on the bottom of the other side, it is, all right, red probe on ground, 0.2, 0.2, not connected, 0.7, 0.3, 0.5. All right, so far so good, 0.7, 0.3, 0.5. I can't quite make it all appear on one. Continuing on. 0.7, 0.3, 0.5, then 264433. 2, 6, 4, 4, 3, 3, ground. All right, and sliding it down to the end. All right, ground. 4, 4. That's not supposed to be OL, it's supposed to be ground. 4, 4. That third one there isn't quite touching ground, so let's fix that. And then connector, and then HFL unplugged, fool in the rain. All right, let's do that. One of these guys, ground, I think it was you or you, one of you guys. All right, let's just make sure we got our ground 4 ground pattern over there. 4 ground, there we go. 4 ground. Great, excellent. Diode mode checks out. And now, finally, we are gonna stick this back on here and accept our fate. All right, would flux let it make a connection to the pins? Flux doesn't make connections. Flux just helps solder go where it's supposed to go. And there's plenty of flux on here. Lots of flux. Actually getting the screen in that connector, there's like too much flux. Yeah, it's like not 100% sure. All right. Let's get a charge port on. I am really happy to see that even though USB V-bus detect is almost certainly broken, that it can detect that I've plugged in a charger, even if I don't know if it was going to charge or not, but we are going to need it to talk to a computer, so that's good. All right, time to accept our fate. Let's go back so you guys can see our DC power. Plug this in here. Plug this in there. Prompt to boot. All right, come on, show us an Apple logo. No! I don't see anything, still no image. Not a satisfying ending whatsoever. Boo, hiss, boo, hiss. All right, let's see. I don't mean that. I mean, will it let the pins from the screen make connection? No, I would definitely like to put this whole thing in ultrasonic to make sure that the screen is actually sitting in there, because it doesn't feel good. It feels a little flexy. But I'm also out of time. So let's see. Are you in there? What's your deal? Uh-oh. What happened to my DC power? This, every time I move the microscope over there, it like crashes into the DC power. I don't have any idea what it's doing now. What does that do? There we go. Is that back? Okay. All right, let's just... I think this is a fail for now. I think this is a have to let it marinate because I can't miss the concert. Eee. So let's get a little bit of alcohol to make sure that we can get our connection okay. So dangerous. Let me check. Let me check our diode mode back up in a spot. The third one is supposed to be ground, right? 0.8. That one's supposed to be ground, and it is connected to main, which is probably not good. Or that guy's connected to something else. What are you touching, little buddy? All right, that's good. Nope, no, that's bad. He's touching somebody again. Hands off the neighbors. Yeah, so the ones that were open are now closed. The only thing that's really a problem here is that we've got a ground pin is not touching ground. It is touching main, probably main, or touching something that's 0.296. All right, let's just stick this one here one more time. I don't think it's good news, but I do think we're gonna have to let it marinate. That is as good as it's gonna get in there today. Hole in the board, pain in the ass. All right, and plug it in. No image. All right, boot up. Why is it not booting? One, boot. Boot up. Come on, DC power. Oh, here we go. You don't want to boot. I'm going to move this. I'm going to move my DC power over to my other one just to make sure that it can still boot up. It doesn't respond to USB at all. It doesn't like it anymore. All right, let's prompt to boot with the tweezers. Booting, no image. So I've got it booting on my other DC power. And no image. All right, I think I'm out of time. I gotta go pick up kids. And this one, I will pick it back up. Traces under the blow-up portion may be damaged. For sure, traces under the blow-up portion are definitely damaged. How did it get a hole under the connector? I don't know, it came that way. Jessa, don't worry too much. No, it's fine. I think you need USB detect for USB to work. I think you do too, but I think that that may only be true for charging. I don't need it to charge, I just need it to boot. And USB, it was booting off of USB, but let's see. Yeah, okay, I think we answered all of those questions. But this phone is booting, but it has no image. And yet we have put a new connector on. We have made diode mode all the way around that connector go back to perfectly normal. So why does it have no image right now? Well, we know for sure that there were a bunch of lines that were broken underneath the burned in hole in the board that we could see. We don't know about layers deeper than that. And we did look up to say, what are those broken lines? Most of them seemed like they didn't have to do with image. So that's why we kind of went ahead. So this one is probably gonna sadly have to get re-quoted for the CPU transfer. But like I said, I don't like to do CPU transfer until we've spent, a little bit of time trying to see if we can resurrect the board. So I feel like we've done that. You could probably do some more. I might come back and circle back to it and just kind of, take a look with fresh eyes at that connector. And if I do, I'll join you and pull up a stream. And if not, then we will hit up one of our other cases here the next time that we do user's choice, viewer's choice, live stream, iPhone repair. That's it for me, and I will see you guys next time.